Welcome to Replicube. You may hear some traffic noises in the background. That's because we have Go, work with your avatar. Is it work with your avatar or study with your avatar? We have Go, focus with your avatar in the background. We're going to be using it to try to keep our focus in this game and keep us moving forward in it. And I just realized what I can do actually, instead of looking at the sexualized poster, I can actually zoom in to one of the monitors and take over the screen by adding, no joke, a green screen. So if I do green screen color code, the green screen color code, I get you sure 0100B140, and I do what size is this thing? I don't really know, but we'll go for paint because paint, the new paint is actually pretty good, like the color picker and everything. It's surprisingly solid for what it's trying to do here. We're gonna green screen this, save this as green screen. Pop this over here, change the image on this monitor to the green screen. Oh, I'm a genius. And then we're going to green screen the game into this. And we're going to see just how effective this is as a focus tool of some kind. Because Replicube, to me, is a very directed sort of game. It feels a lot like a directed programming game, where the way that you play it is you want to try and solve whatever it is that you're doing, and it's not like you're solving an abstract problem that you yourself make. It's something that the game gives you as a result of the goals of the game of you drawing things. This is gonna be awful, isn't it? This is gonna be awful. So green is now there. I don't know how to make it perfectly green. The problem, I think, is that I don't know if it works. Like, for one, it's like, what exactly is the green necessarily? We'll try this, and then we'll see if I can just make this appear underneath it. So, like, how do I make this green screen work, really? I think it's because of the lighting, but the green is like a whole different shade of green. So I need to get this, like, perfect here. It's gonna feel a little wonky, but I think that's sort of the joy of this stuff, is that you never really know how it's supposed to work, and you just get to experiment and see what will happen and how it's supposed to go. Okay, that doesn't really work. It's if it weren't for the light source, I think the light source on the side really hampers it, but I think that's fine. Smoothness could be a little better. I don't want to get rid of like the poster. The key is I don't want to kill the poster. It's the light source. Can I turn this light off? Is there a way for me to turn this light off? No, I know that you're there. Yes, I know that you're there. I need to somehow turn the light off, but at the same time, it's like I'm a VTuber with my VTube setup. Okay, well, you just get to just deal with the chat, okay? This is now Replicube on the screen in this tiny little this monitor is huge. I didn't realize how huge this monitor was. This doesn't look very good, but it's in a way this harkens back to ye olden days of Twitch streaming, where you would have like someone would have a Twitch stream overlay, and they'd see something there as you're playing the game. And now we set a Pomodoro timer where we focus for 30 minutes, and we have 5-minute breaks in between, and we do 5 sessions each. I don't know what that means, but what is this? What are you doing? What is that? You already see the exact walls IRL. Can we do this? Maximize this. Perfect. Now the reason why I'm doing this is not because I don't think the Replicube fake OS is bad. Is good. I actually think the Replicube fake OS is really good. I just thought it'd be kind of cool to have this idea of like a mixed view, because you know it's like these tools and these different games that purport to be focus helpers. They exist, but how effective are they really? We don't really know, and so it's worth trying it out to see just how good it is. I can't see my mouse anymore. Why? This is now I don't see my mouse. What happened? Hey, where's my mouse? Hey, where's my mouse? Hey, what have I done? Did something take over my keyboard? I can't see anything. Or my cursor, sorry. I can't see my cursor. I think it's because both games are on the same monitor that you can't see my cursor. Uh-oh. Well, welcome to Replicube, everyone. Last time we played this game, we barely finished the intro section, but there's actually a lot more to this game that I've gotten to. So I've gotten to the Alice creations, and I've also gotten the ability to make my own free edit projects, which is really cool because in free edit, you can do things like, if I could find my cursor. What the fuck is my cursor? What the fuck is my cursor? Okay, there's that button. Okay, in free edit mode, you can do animations frame by frame. You can share them with people, and I wouldn't be surprised to see in the forums if there's an animation that somebody's already done of, say, Lost. And you see a lot of these different things that people have been trying to share within the forums initially is for stuff like this. That's why people post their code, is because it's a share button that you can click and you like download other people's code to run, which is kind of cool. Obviously, we haven't gotten to the point where we can customize our own avatar yet. Apparently, that's after the Alice creation. So I'm excited to see how far, I'm excited to see how that whole thing works. But we have to get there first. And my solutions so far have been pretty bad. A lot of them, and this is sort of like the key to any dynamic programming effort. But this is sort of like an interesting slice of dynamic programming where there's some techniques that you have in terms of how the math eventually ladders up to make like a visual element of something. You want to start as simple as you can, and then you want to look and break down the problem afterwards, right? Because understanding the problem and what you're trying to build in the first place is a very handy tool. Sometimes, and as you get more experience, you can skip over it. But if you don't know what you're doing, it's fine to just do the worst possible code that you can, and then look to optimize it after. Because sometimes some things about code isn't really obvious until you go back and you look at it with a fresh pair of eyes, and it's only obvious once you've actually built the whole thing out. So for instance, here I can see certain conditions are really duplicated in certain places, and I can probably simplify this down a lot with the conditions, but I'm just focused on getting it done first, and because when you get it done, then you start to see the patterns that you should be looking for. And it's actually, again, it's very cool that this game has this, because usually for games like this, or really just things like this, because this is a very LeetCode thing, you don't really get to that step very easily. Like, you need a lot of background knowledge to get there, but this game gives you the same itch that you would, or it scratches the same itch as LeetCode, but without the very rigorous sort of background knowledge that you need to have within computer science. Like, you can just kind of get into this game and go right for it. I need to change this phone. The phone light is messing me up. I need to chat. We're going to delete this phone. End the timer. Yes, sorry. Just delete smartphone stand 5. Yes. We're going to make a new phone stand. Goods. No. Games. Screens. Here we go. I need one. Oh. Even better. It's even better because it's right there. Oh, that's so perfect. It's like right there, blocking just the bottom. And it's like I'm a real VTuber using the phone to record me. Okay, perfect. And then I can use the same image as before. So where is it? Images, stream images. LOL. LOL. And then where's the titties? Here we go. Scrumptious. Scrumptious. Perfect. Perfect. Wow. Perfect. Then we have even more screen real estate for what it is that we want to do here. And don't lie, this is what all of your rooms look like. Here we go. Just like this. I need to get the correct angle. Just kind of centered over here. Nice. And then we bring the game over so it fits more better into the center of the screen. There we go. Fits much more nicely within the center with no cropping. That way you see everything, including the code. There we go. Nice. That's... I amaze myself sometimes, you know? Or I horrify myself. I'm not really sure which one I should feel yet. But it's something. It's something. Oh boy, is it something. Okay. This one was one that I was trying to work on for a while that I couldn't figure out. So it's this room that's very interesting. And all of these Alice creation ones are pretty cool because every single one that you go into has this idea of, like, it teaches you how to think about the way that the numbers and like the math translates into some visual elements, which I think is very, very neat. For instance, like using power and modulo and this and that, sine and cosine, and what that relates to with like a particular type of movement that you would want with that wave movement. And then, you know, going back and learning the fundamentals of like how you can sort of visualize it in regards to like a unit circle. This is like a gateway drug to this type of thinking, which is like what is the application of things like trigonometry within, you know, geometry, right? Within the space of like specifically drawing, which is interesting, like graphics drawing. But it's something that you can apply to a lot of things in life, because then it's like, oh, let's say you're a tiler and you want to tile things. Well, now I guess you can model your tiles with code. I don't know. Like, it seems like it's possible. And I kind of like this, right? Again, it's a very, very structured way of going about it that you don't really get elsewhere. Where, again, on LeetCode, it's like to even begin, you need to have a lot of prerequisite knowledge, and it can feel almost daunting. Here, because it's almost so simplistic, you just need to think about the way that the underlying concepts are and how they interact with each other versus the specifics of each and every single specialized solution. You know what I mean? Like, it's like what you do for a B tree is very different for something, I don't know, for like the queen problem, the n queens problem. It's just a whole different way of thinking. Or like what you would do for a chessboard with like bit boards is a whole different way of thinking. In this game, it's all sort of the same way of thinking. And you just need to think about how they interact with each other to get these more complex solutions. At least so far, up until Alice Creations 2. Obviously, I'm not that good at it because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm trying to figure out how to get the shape. I'm trying to figure out how to like slice everything down so that I can get, you know, just the right spaces and do it in a way that's sort of like with the math that I think it's trying to teach me. Because look, this was fun to try and work out how to make simple patterns like a brick wall. Don't forget about module has a lot of uses. And I feel like I tried to do it, but I just couldn't figure out how to make it look the exact same. And I wonder how much of this shape you can actually build in a single go, even. Obviously, the floor shape is its own problem, and really the floor shape was the one that I'm like, I have no clue what to do with this floor shape. Because it's like, what do you do? You know what I mean? It's like, how the hell do you make this like look good? I'm not really sure. But well, you know, we'll figure it out. However, like all things, maybe just solve it in the easiest way possible, because I don't want to think about it too much. So let's just make it so that, you know, everything that's outside of this range, we just cut off, and it's like good, okay? So we're just gonna go as simple as we can, because I just want to get as much of this done as possible, because it'd be nice to continue on and get to sort of the other fun parts of this game, which I've seen elsewhere, because it seems pretty fun to make things like your own avatar. It seems pretty fun to share things like animations. Like, I want to share my own version of the loss animation, but for me to get there, I need to be able to code this and make this work. And it's sort of interesting to sort of see this problem, because this is not... It's almost like training your patience for the same type of problem that you'd run into when you do real development. Because when you do real development, the first 99% is the worst part of the entire thing. Because it's just so much shit that's in the way of the fun part. It's like you don't even get to play the game until you've done all this like background work to get to that point. And then when you finally get there, that's when you get to play it. Also, did any of you buy the game? And how far have you gotten? Because I know that some of you have this on your wish list, which I saw on my Steam. And I wonder how many of you have actually fully bought the game, and how far you've gotten, because I couldn't figure out how to actually see your progress here. You finished the demo. Well, you should buy the game. I feel like you're missing out if you don't buy the game. Plus, the latest portions of the game, again, the like free drawing, it's actually pretty neat. And so I've been keeping an eye on this forum. They've done something pretty cool with this forum, in that their forum is consistently busy, and people love to be here and talk and hang out. And they also love to ask, like, who is Exonor? They are the whisper heard in the winds. What? I think Exonor is what? But you know what I mean? Like, there's something interesting about the fact that everybody here, it's like everyone's really into this game and they're all really down to play with this. And that, you know, even the developer uses the forums to like post things about the game, specifically about it, and you would only know if you actually are a part of the community of the game, which is only in the game. Like, that's pretty cool to me. Somebody also told me that they were thinking of making like a web version of it, which is very interesting to me because it's like it would be a great fit for this game. You wouldn't have to like download an entire thing, and you just play it on your web browser. And then I remember mentioning like I'm curious how that would work. You'll buy it at some point. That's fair. You know what? To be fair, there's a lot of games out, and it's kind of tough to want to buy more and more games. Let's say. At least for me, it's surprising how many games there are out there that I really want to play that I'm not able to get to, that I have to like slowly go through my backlog of games before I can finally play them. Because even this game, I can kind of feel myself sometimes putting it on the back burner because of the fact that like a lot of the games that we play are very similar in vibe. Not that this game is bad, but because I want to finish as much as I can, and it's frustrating because like this game still tickles that, but it's like there's so many different things that I want to do too that it's like hard to find time to want to dedicate to this game, because this game is fundamentally more difficult than the other games we've been playing, and it takes more effort. Whereas like say Blueprints, it takes a lot of effort with some of the puzzles, with quite a lot of them actually, but it's still like a gamey feeling. Like you can just sort of go through it and you sort of know when you're done, right? Whereas this, it's like it's entirely up to your skill, and it's like you have to dedicate a fair amount of time to get better at it. And it's like, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world, but in terms of time management, it's like, oh man, I have to dedicate time to this, and you have to find meaningful time where you have the most energy, where you can absorb things to be able to get better at this game, to be able to actually like play it fully. I'm trying to explain this, but my explanations are so poor today. You think you finished the first 2 sets or something? Hey, that's pretty good. I'm actually curious how far the demo gets. Like, did you actually get to go through the rest of the illustrations, or does it end at some point? Because I'm curious if it ends, and then there's nothing else that you can really do. How would I do this? How would I do a tile floor? I don't really know. I don't know. Let's just do like, I don't know, like I don't know, like what's like this? I don't know, like what exactly am I trying to like do here? You don't know, you bought it. Oh. So okay, so you actually bought the full thing, which is interesting. And then I don't know, like X mod 2. Well, it's getting kind of closer, but not really. Hey, but you know what? That's interesting. Actually, that's interesting that you bought it and then you get to the first 2 sets. Like, what's the thing that's holding you back from doing the rest of it? Is it the same thing that I just talked about, where it's like it's hard to want to go through it constantly, or like it's just hard to find the like time to do it, or like find the space and the effort in your mind to like do it? Like what's the reason why you kind of like stop there basically? What exactly do I want to do here? I want to make squares. I want to make a tiled square. How did I do it last time? How did I do it within the last one? So one thing that I did notice actually from last time when chat mentioned it themselves, it is interesting how I haven't internalized the various understandings and intuitions with how to manipulate the numbers. Because I think it was one of the chatters here right now that said like a lot of it to them was like trial and error, where they would try something, see how it looks, and then adjust it to see how it looks again. I find myself falling back onto that constantly. Like I can never seem to internalize the cause and effect of something. Like it's like I can't seem to memorize that this particular operation will result in this particular type of pattern, but I also can't seem to draw that type of intuition from in the sense of like, how do I say this? I can't seem to draw that type of intuition where I would know that, oh, me doing this affects the numbers in this way, and because it affects the numbers in this way, that's the reason why it can feel like this, if that makes sense. Like it's interesting how bad I am at sort of internalizing that piece, and I would like to get better at that, to get a better hold on, or like a better handle on numbers and how it eventually reflects within a system, and just sort of like the effect of an operation. But I guess that's sort of like a practice thing. You know, the next day after you played it, you whistled too much, and you were dizzy for another 2 days after that. So you weren't in the mood to play it. You whistled too much, and you were dizzy for another 2 days after that. Like, how do you... You know, like, you can breathe, right? Like, you can breathe in between whistling. Like, I know that you want to go for the whole song, but you can just breathe in the middle of it, and then you can come like, you can come back to the note later, right? Like, it's you can take you can stop. You can stop at some point and then come back to the song later, right? That's pretty funny though. I do like that you said that. There's something funny about that premise, where you just ended up knocking yourself out in some way. Where you ended up knocking yourself out in some way because you ran out of breath whistling. Granted, I think I did see someone almost pass out playing saxophone once in my band class. So, not necessarily uncommon. It can definitely happen. Like, it is pretty funny to see people sort of struggle with that, because it is. It's hard to keep a note going with that much breath, if that makes sense. Like, it's pretty difficult to keep it going, if that makes sense. But glad to know that you're okay somehow, because that's kind of funny. Well, it's funny. Well, I shouldn't say funny. Is it mean to say that it's funny? But honestly, it is kind of funny. Like, it is kind of funny. We do something like this, maybe. You know, we do like this, get 3 tiles, and then I don't know what to do though. It's like, why did I do times 2 here? You can do -1. I don't know. What is this? You're not sure if it's because you're breathing too much or too little, or just because of exhaustion. That's a good point. Yeah, because it's like, did you just push yourself too far in your attempt to whistle a song? Or, I mean, I guess either way, it's pretty bad. Either way, it's pretty bad. But, you know, at least you're alive. Yeah, because, I mean, to be fair, though, it is hard to keep just any practice going for a long time. Especially for music, it's like if you try to go for like singers, I think early singers can get themselves out of breath very easily. Like, it's very hard to sort of explain to people how difficult singing is if you're not used to that level of breath control. Because, like, I hear this a lot from people with, like, artists and stuff. They'll see somebody sort of panting on stage and they go, well, why are they panting? Like, it's not that complicated to sing. And it's like, buddy, you don't even know what you're talking about. Like, it's surprisingly complicated to, you know, keep your breath going. What am I missing in terms of intuition here? I don't know. How do I actually do this in a way that would work out well and I can just keep the same patterns over and over and over? Is this stupid to do it like this? Modulo 4, you get the same layout of the 3, except one of the 3 is empty. One of the 3 is an empty line, and then it's not an empty line, then it's an empty line, then it's non-empty line. How did I do this? Did you enjoy the whistling at least? Did you enjoy your whistling, chat? Did you enjoy the types of sounds that you were making from your thrusty? What the 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. I wish there was a way for me to figure out how to, like, make this towel pattern. What am I missing about this towel pattern? You know, okay, you want to start small. You just return whatever the color is, and then you figure out how to modulate that color to be something else every single interval, right? Because this is the baseline color, and then it's 10 on top of the baseline color. How would you get it to modulate every other grouping of 9? Every other 9. Every other 9. You would think if you can get yourself some brain damage if you get to breathe like that. You very often feel like after whistling or singing, but this time it just lasted much longer. Well, so I guess you kind of could, because this is just oxygen, right? I've wondered that myself, where it's like, you know those singers who keep a very long note on stage? Like, because sometimes when I talk on stream, especially on days like today where I'm tired, I can find myself sort of getting winded and feeling almost lightheaded because of how much I'm saying relative to how much I'm breathing. Because breathing is hard to do as you're talking, as you might imagine, having one single orifice where air and sound passes through. And At some point, it must have resulted in some permanent brain damage, because at some point, you don't have oxygen left within your system. But if you haven't passed out, you're probably okay, right? Presumably, when you pass out, that's when you have nothing left. And if you just feel lightheaded, it's just your body saying, yeah, it's like good. Since it's every 3, some kind of modulo based on 3. Wait, is that Yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking too, right? But then what does this even mean? Some modulo based on 3. But then it's like, how do you actually do that? Because it's like, basically what I'm trying to figure out is like, how do you do that in such a way that you would then skip the spaces? Because let's say you do a modulo of 3. I don't know, let's say like, you do like modulo 3 or something. Then you get something like this, which is like great and all, except that's only for one axis. But then you would do, I don't know, plus X sign. And then you get sort of like both axes, right? Like it's, but still, it's like you're missing something. I don't even know how to explain it, but it feels like I'm still missing something about this intuition of like how I could get 3 consistently and then somehow get it to the same solid color. Like I could use it as a selector to be like anything that's like above, say 1, I would, you know, then color it in a certain way, but then it's like, is that really the answer? It seems interesting to me to use that as the answer. Like 0, 1, 2, how they use this as a selector of some kind to be like, okay, anything that's below 4, you would just color it like this, and then I don't get it. Like it's just, I'm still missing some intuition in my mind about like the numbers and tiling. I don't know why. Because it makes sense when you do it with like single tiles, but I don't understand how you then increase the amount of like width each tile has, basically. You change the solid color using the range, aka between 1 to 5, change the array. Yeah, like, I could do that, but then I'm trying to find, like, is that the only way? Basically, I see what your thinking is. Like, what you're describing is sort of the approach that I would do if I just do it up front and I do the most complicated solution that I can think of, right? But what I'm trying to get at is, like, is there an intuition that I'm missing that could make it even easier and simpler? Like, is there something where I don't need to care about the number range? I can just calculate some math and it just works out in the end, right? Similar to, I don't know, like this, where it's like the math for this bottom. You know, you modulo this, then you times it by 2 because then you get some numbers going into, because when you modulo it by 2, it's like 0, 1, 0, 1. When you times 0 by 2, it's 0. When you times 1 by 2, it becomes 2, and then you add 12, which gets you the 12 and the 14. Like, that's what I'm trying to get to, is like some weird intuition about the math here that would lead to the answer, similar to that, but here with this tile. Like, it's like, there must be a way to encode this pattern without using like a range check of some kind. Like purely through math, is there like a math function that you just solve this with? That's the thing that I always want to like, especially for games like this, they always want to try to figure out. Because there's something there, otherwise it wouldn't be possible. Because it's like, this feels like a math function of some kind that you could just map out into. Anyways, I have to go use the washroom, so BRB. Okay, I'm back. Thinking about it, yeah, I think it probably is about the range. Like, it's like, because like within the axis of like Z, for instance, or I don't know, yeah, let's say within the axis of like X and Z, right? It's like every X amount on the axis scale, it has to sort of be a certain color. I think we have to figure it out based on that, and I think there's no other way to but that. But then I'm trying to think, like, what exactly? How would you do that? They solved the first checkers problem that you finished the first 3 rounds? Yeah, so up until now I solved everything. It was interesting. But it's interesting that, like, okay, so this is the thing about the game, where it's like, you can probably modify the code for the small checkers to make the big one. But the problem is that I solved both checkers to be slightly different solutions. Like, I did this, but then it's like, this is different from the one that I did for this one, and it feels like I should be able to. But the problem is that, like, I think I solved it in like a roundabout way, because I tried to solve it with like pure maths, and this is also like convoluted, but also the colors that are chosen, it's like the color and the values that are chosen made sense for the math, because it's like you have 0, 1, and then times 2 plus 2, and then times 2 plus 12, like it worked out. Whereas this one is like, I don't know if like you can somehow get to 2 and 12 in an easy manner, if that makes sense. But yeah, we'll probably just, well, it's gonna be somewhat the same. But I think we just need to figure out how to do this alternating pattern based on where it is within the Z and the X axis, and then we just need to care about what the range of the value is. Either way, I'm both, because either way, this is surprisingly complicated. And it's always funny because it's like, I feel like I overcomplicate my thinking of these problems in some way. So you know what? Let's just figure it out. So where was it again? So that gets rid of everything around it, which is good. I need these 3 vertical lines, which I'll figure out later. And this is all the way through. Actually, wait, sorry. Let me just check. Yes. So last time I did this, I got up to here, and I was like, okay, I'll just wait to go on stream. How do I check that it's within a certain number range to get these values alternating by this? Like, what's the relationship of the values on the x-axis and the z-axis here? Minus 234 plus 234 plus minus 101. But this is also in the 234. It's like the 234, 234 plus 01 plus 01 is every other alternating. How does this work? I guess when... That's kind of confusing to think about. How would I do this alternating tile pattern? I feel like I'm still missing some very obvious intuition about this. Yeah, it's been fun to pick up again. You've been able to increase your whistling range by 1 octave down lately. Nice. Yeah, whistling range is always interesting because it's like the entire mechanic of your tongue as well as your lips that determines what the sound eventually ends up as. And it's always a bit weird to play with because it's like it feels like you have to open up your throat a lot, and I wonder if I'm doing it wrong. You've also been realizing that piano might be the chordy of the music world, and that you've been learning the button accordion layout on your computer keyboard. Oh, I see what you mean. As in, like, you've been learning the wrong keyboard layout because you're doing like a Dvorak or something. Or do you like? Or I don't know what you mean. The button accordion layout on your computer keyboard, but the piano is the chordy of the keyboard world, of the music world. Yeah, it's like, or at least of Western music. Like, it is interesting that the piano, the way that it maps the notes specifically for like the Western system of music, it's like the perfect system to be able to play within that scale, if that makes sense, or whatever the thing is called, scale or something. I don't know. Nothing. What you mean is that it kind of sucks, maybe. Oh, as in like your keyboard sucks or the piano sucks? I think the piano sucks if you need to learn a whole different scale of music. But I don't think it sucks in general. I think it's just some types of music need something else. Piano, keyboard, yeah. I think it's just it's very music dependent, right? Because it's like it works well for a lot of different compositions and songs. And in fact, you could probably play a lot of, if not like a near infinite amount of songs with the piano keyboard. But you just can't do certain sounds. I think we had this discussion before too of like, you know, microtonals and stuff. Oh, you mean the layout itself? I mean, how else would you do it though? It's like the most, like for playing. Actually, yeah, I guess so. Well, I guess that's also subjective though, right? Because then it's like, if the music that you're playing has primarily like say major key notes, then it's like you would ideally have everything consolidated into one space. Whereas if the music that you're playing has like, let's say just like only minor key notes, then you'd want to consolidate them differently, right? Without having to spread your fingers across the entire thing, and then to swing your hands left and right and like crossing them and stuff, right? But is that such a huge problem that the current system doesn't work well? I don't know. Maybe it's overstated that you're saying that it's like the worst possible or like that it's just a bad layout. Not the worst possible. You just said it kind of sucks. But it doesn't seem that bad in terms of layout. But at the same time, maybe I'm only looking at it from the learning perspective, where it's like, okay, it's easy to learn, but does that really matter? Oh, my Pomodoro hit. Because of how it's designed, you kind of have to learn it 12 times. Not really, but kinda. You have to learn it 12 times? like going up and down the thing, but it's all the same though, right? Isn't it like the same pattern? Like you going up and down from one side of the keyboard to the next? Like, is it really learning it 12 times, or is it just learning the fact that, like, is it learning it 12 times, or do you just not learn the relationships between them? Where it's like, okay, well, if you want to go down like X number of notes, then you would just go over here relative to where you are, right? Or am I misunderstanding what you're trying to get at? Or do you mean like the actual different musical scales where you need to figure out, okay, each one has a different playing system because because they're represented by different notes and they're laid out differently, and so your hands have to move in a different way. What? There's a relationship between Z and X here. And now you see how I spend my free time, by the way. This is why I don't have time for MMOs. Is I do stuff like this and I just sit there and I'm like, what is the relationship between Z and X here that I could get to give me a clear answer of how I'd want to go through this? Wait a minute. Slowly coming to something. This. Okay, let's look at this. Let's just look at this section. Is there a way for me to like zoom around or like to move it? Yeah, the scales and chord shapes. Okay, like how C major, D minor, and the B dim have the same shape. Okay, so then that. Okay, yeah. Okay, that I do agree with. Yes. But then, I wonder if it's sort of like a mindset thing. Because I had that same problem, but then maybe there's a way to break down that problem to think about it differently. Like, maybe the reason why we both have that problem is because people who think differently about the way that chords are constructed wouldn't have that problem. Like, we think of chords as a thing to learn, but not the constituents of various components, right? Like, we don't see it as like a sum of various parts. Maybe if we saw it as a sum of various components and we learned those components such that we could construct any chord shape, then all of a sudden the problem disappears. And then the piano is sort of goes back to that one system of it's just notes relative to other notes, and then when you need a certain sound, you just press it like this. You know what I mean? Like, basically, what I'm trying to get at is that I want to know how to play the piano the same way that What's-His-Face plays it. What's that musician's name that I always tell you about? What's that one musician's name? Shit. What is that musician's name? It's the guy on the piano who's like really weird. But like, you know what I mean? Like, I wonder if they think of the chords as like the constituent parts and then they just construct it on the fly as they need something. And they might throw like a minor in here to like change it. And then based on their understanding of what like a chord is, right? Based on their understanding of like what sound is. Anyways, let's just try this. No. Let's just, so you go like this. I'm just gonna keep trying things out until I get to some intuition about this. Let's get you this. This would do this. You have the three of these, but then there's a gap in between, which is sort of like, I don't want the gap. How would you then negate the gap? Or like, specifically, how would you use this within a conditional that could negate the gap? Because 0 means that there is no leftover value, because it's every 4, right? But then it's like, we need is like every 3. But then it's like, how would you be able to like group these 3 together, separate from these 3, separate from these 3, separate from these 3, separate from these 3? How would you do that? It's specifically some relationship between X and Z. Well, actually, I don't know. Let's try things out. We need like a real musician to come in. Not to say that we're not real musicians, or well, not that you aren't, but like I feel like a really good musician has like a way of thinking about things that we wouldn't even be able to comprehend. You know what I mean? Like, there has to be some way that people think about the music world that would blow our mind in terms of how we would see things. There has to be. Because how else does it work? It seems almost impossible to even think of this stuff. No, you think that you're objectively right. Well, maybe. It's always good to have a little hubris. If you don't have hubris, then, like, are you really living life? I guess the problem is that, like, do you believe that you're right relative to the rest of humanity up until this point? In which case, I would argue that maybe it's hubris. But then it's like, okay, well, you know, maybe you are the one person that sees something different, right? But then it's like, how do you quantify that? How do you qualify that? How do you actually, like, how do you then talk about it in a way that, yes, you're the only person who, like, sees it differently, and thus you know what you're talking about? Because that's pretty funny to think about, that you feel like you're objectively right, but then you can't explain why you're right. Because then doesn't that just mean that you don't even know why you're right? So how do you know that you're objectively right? Like, that to me just sounds like copium. It just sounds like copium to me. I don't know. Which isn't a bad thing to have. Like, it's fine to have some copium. But I feel like step 1 is getting to some system where it's like, yeah, you know, I don't know. What am I missing about this? I need to really look at the shape again. Look at the values on the axes. Like, I could just do something similar where actually there's probably like a very simple pattern. It's a very simple pattern to this. 765. Start from 0. 0 at the midline. 0, 1, 1. Mirrored on both sides. The mirroring on both sides. 0, 1, 1. It's something about the way that it's symmetrical too. Something about the way that it's symmetrical too. Why is this so confusing to me? Wait, what was the original prompt? This was fun to try and work out how to make simple patterns like a brick wall. Don't forget about modulo, it has a lot of uses. Well, listen, buddy. I swear I've done this, but nothing's really changing. It's specifically translating what I see about these values, translating the result of the modulo into something. Maybe you know what? Okay, maybe I do just go ahead and forget about the fact that, like, maybe there's some easy math solution to this, and I just go for the simple range check of whatever the function was called. Somewhere. I had to say, okay, also that piano thing, right? You can try to construct chords on the fly, but in the end, you need to commit those to muscle memory, and that has to be done for each key separately. For each key, there are keyboard accordions and as well as button accordions and people pick up the button ones much easier. I see what you mean. So it's like you're using it as a reference point to a different instrument because of the way that you view the buttons. But is that a bias towards the muscle memory aspect of it? Like, it's like maybe your brain is just naturally suited to the accordion versus the piano. If that makes sense. Like, it's like, is it really that much easier and that much better to play versus how the piano is laid out? Or is it that you can reach it easier with your fingers and you don't have to move them so much? Basically, is it a skill issue that you believe is a factual element? And thus you're sort of like saying that because you can't do it, but you can do another one easier, that the other thing is bad? Or is it actually objectively that, right? Like, what is... Because, like, picking something up that's easier feels like it always has some other underlying reason as to why that is so. It's not as simple as saying, like, oh, like, the reason why, you know, Python is so popular is because it's easy, or, like, Lua is so much better because it's easy. It's like, what exactly is that trade-off, right? But, like, for, like, the music side, like, what exactly is easier about it, and then what are you losing from it, and then what is the purpose of it? Like, can you really say that it's better or worse? You know what I mean? Here we go, this is the function. In range, mix. Returns a value interpreted from A to B based on T. Floats ideally in range 0 to 1, but it is not clamped. Mix. Returns a value interpolated from A to B based on T. Right, because then if you interpolate, like, I don't know, like, say 0 to 1, and then 0.1 would be 0.1. Right. That's what mix is. Sign, step. If A greater than V returns 1, Otherwise, return 0. Ceiling returns a decimal up to the thing. Round float. A tan. This is not a tangent or a sine or a cosine because it's not really a. I mean, it is kind of a radial pattern though. Like it does radiate outwards, almost like a circle of some kind. But I wouldn't even begin to know how to even map that. But it is like a really weird unit circle, where the units are massive and the gaps in between are massive. Maybe that's the intuition. Maybe it is like a unit circle. Wait, actually, that does sound familiar to something else that we did. Was it this? I swear I did something stupid here. What the fuck did I do here? You think the only benefit of learning it 12 times is that you start thinking of every key and chord as its own thing, but you don't think it's worth the learning overhead. Well, so I think that answer belies that or like reveals that bias, right? Like, I guess what I'm asking for is, even before the idea of learning something 12 times, is that simply a skill issue of you have to learn it 12 times? Like, what do you mean by learning it 12 times versus somebody who doesn't even think about learning it 12 times? They just think of the constituents of the chord. Like, that's what I mean by, like, somebody who just learns that and then picks up with, like, muscle memory. That's just the same as them learning every single note on the keyboard. Like, basically, once you have full mastery of a piano, right? And you know what every single note sounds like before you even touch it, and you can play it in your head, basically, down to every single one, and you can break down a chord into every single constituent part. You're not really learning it 12 times anymore. You're just constructing the sounds all together, piece by piece, to make a chord, right? You know what I mean? Like when you think of a chord in your head, like, you hear each and every single sound, and you're just trying to figure out where to place things on it. But, like, that's a skill issue, right? Does that make it inferior? Like, is it a skill issue of you, or is it just because, like, the instrument isn't for you? Like, that's the thing that I'm curious about. It was this thing. It was this radial pattern. Radial pattern. In the circle, A square, B square, C square. Yeah, you could do something like this. I know this is stupid, but you could do something like this. I mean, because it is technically like a radial pattern going outwards. You could just do something like this. But this is gonna be stupid to explain. I know, plus like 10, plus 1,000. Just curious what this ends up looking like. Feels like shit. Am I overcomplicating this? Like, surely there's an easy way to do this. And I don't need this. But it's kind of like this. And then you can kind of target whichever ones you want, this, like, region. You know what I mean? I think you know what I mean. I'm trying to think of, I don't know. How does this look like that? This is incredibly stupid. Yeah, I'm not saying that you're necessarily wrong. Like you may be a genius and you may have discovered something like fantastic, right? But then if so, it's like, I wonder why this hasn't been like a mainstream thing. But then I guess it's down to preference of like, oh, well, you know, you have an instrument and you like it. What's the point of doing it any particular in like a much more with like much more effort when you have what you like and there's no need to think of it anymore, right? Maybe that's why it's stuck around for so long. But it's basically just whenever somebody says that they think that they're right and everyone else is wrong, then I'm like, you're probably wrong. Unless you really are a genius, in which case, like, you shouldn't even be here. A squared plus B squared plus C squared. Why did I do the? I don't need the. I don't need the negative here. Well, I guess I kind of do, right? Because an x-axis will be going that way. When you subtract the Z, where does it go? No, I don't think you need this. Just go like this. Or you could even be like, no, this. Well, now I don't remember. Minus, minus, plus, plus, reveal thing, add, and goes into this. I don't know why I did this. You wouldn't be able to do this. And what the hell people build an intuition for these numbers? Like, basically, the question that I'm asking you is the same thing that I'm struggling with now, right? It's like, how does somebody build an intuition for this stuff? And builds an understanding of this, and is able to constantly pull these tools out of their tool bag in a way that I don't seem to understand. It's like people's minds work so differently from mine that I can't even imagine somebody who's so good at this can make this work in like a super optimized form. Does math problems enough so they remember the patterns. But like, is that true though? Because then it's like, I wonder if that's true. Because the way that some people maneuver through certain math problems, right? It's the same thing that I'm trying to get at with like, maybe they see the chords differently and they could, and they don't even think about the muscle memory, they just construct it based on what they want to hear. Like, is it true that they memorize the patterns and then they apply those memorizations? Or is it that they have a deeper understanding of the system and then they just throw it out there? You know what I mean? Because like, there's always like the genius that you look at and then they view things so differently and then they come up with a solution that makes you go, I wish I could have thought of that too. But it's like, I can't even begin to imagine the steps that they took to intuit something like that. But it doesn't seem based on any previous pattern. Even if you like study it long enough, it feels like its own new pattern almost. Or maybe it is an amalgamation of various different things that they sort of bring together within their like mind to like do. You mean you're not the only one who thought of that. There are a lot of layouts you can use instead. But similar to QWERTY, things just get entrenched regardless of if they're well designed or not. It just has to be efficient enough. Yeah, but wouldn't you be able to say that about all the other layouts too? Like, that's the thing, right? It's like, just because there are differences and other layouts, just because they thought of that, have any of them actually been successful in sort of taking it over? And like, let's say it is in the trench because of inertia, right? Is that necessarily true? Like, how come people don't really just play organs all the time? Well, how come people mostly just play piano? Is it just because of the sound? Is it just because of the complexity? How come those other layouts didn't get popular? Is it just because no one knows about them? Right? What makes those layouts like objectively better than the current layout? That's what I mean by like, it feels like, at least within the context of what you're giving me, it feels like the way that you're explaining whether or not your idea is good is by pointing to the fact that there are other ideas out there. But that's the same way that a conspiracy theorist sort of imagines the world and says like, well, the reason why aliens exist is because the government has Area 51 and that other people are talking about it. But it's like, that's not really indicative of any particular thing. Like, it's just, of course there will always be differences in like thought and everyone will be experimenting, but they could be just like you, and if you're right, then they're also right, but if you're wrong, then they could also be wrong too. Like, how do you know that just because there are other layouts means that this is a bad layout? It could just be that other people also had a bad idea too. Like, is there something that I'm missing from your explanation of this that should convince me otherwise? Because to me, it just sounds like, oh, you see that there are other differences that other people have like latched onto, and so you believe that you're right because you've come to the same conclusion, but you may be falling for, I forget the fallacy of it, where it's like, you follow the same wrong steps to get to the same wrong answer, but because you got the same wrong answer as someone else, you believe that you're right because you have another, like, data point to back you up with. Even though the entire sort of, like, chain of steps to get there is wrong. But neither you nor the person that you compare yourself to know that. But when you compare yourself to other people, you see them as wrong because you two are right within your bubble. You know what I mean? I forget the actual name of that, but like, that seems to come up a lot within like any particular topic. You know, regardless of who you are, it feels like a very natural human flaw to like use a flawed data point to believe that you're right in some way. Again, you could actually genuinely be right. Like, we have no clue. But are you sure you're not falling for that? Because that seems like a very heavy statement to make. And it's like, it's interesting too, because it's like, that's technically what science is. We just prove things by other people being able to prove it too. But then it's like, I forget what deep equality it was that turned something from like an observation to a hypothesis to like what it actually is. And it's like the entire thing has to be constructed of like a sound system of proof starting from the very basis core and going up. Maybe there's something unsound about your thought process from the beginning, and you're just using other people's existence of that same idea to justify your own. Just like how I'm trying to justify that there must be another answer because of this thing exists, and so therefore there must be an easier solution. Like, it could just be as simple as like they just did like if then, right? Like, it could just be that too. Why would it tell me about tiling and modulo? Why would you tell me about modulo? That's the thing that gets me, is why the fuck would you tell me about modulo? Let's just see a bit. I just want to see this. So you do this, and then you through. You get something like this. More of a diagonal pattern, but it's whatever. The key though, wait, x plus z. Yeah, so that's the x-axis, this is the z-axis. You think there was a very efficient way to solve the first checkers with module? Yes. It was really efficient. But the thing that I'm trying to figure out is that how do you then, like, basically, let's say you have the modulo answer, right? And you do this thing, and you can use whatever constructions that you want to sort of get to this point. How do you then increase the size of each particular square? Because, like, the way that it exhibits itself with modulo is that you just have, like, if you do a checkerboard where it's like each tile is of its own thing, right? Where like each tile is its own color. How do you then expand that to be like every 3 tiles is the same color versus every other tiles, right? And it's more and more coming down to I probably just have to check a range of values here. Where it's like, oh, if you do x modulo something x, and then if it's below a certain value, then color this, otherwise this. Because you just need the repeating pattern to like look fine, and then you would be able to figure it out. Wonder, I just still feel like there's a different way that I could do this. I just feel like there's a different way that I could do this. You know what I mean? Am I crazy? Am I crazy that there's not a better way of doing this? Actually, also, I wonder if I could do, I wonder what it looks like if I do this. No, because that would make it that diagonal. This would then switch it over to that side, because this side, and then this will switch it over down that way. Yeah. And this would do it like that way. Yeah. And this would go like this. Yeah. And what is the range value check that I would do then? Because I could do it like this, and I would get, okay, you know, every value past a certain point would be colored a certain way, but then how do I alternate it like this? It's this alternating that always bugs me. Am I stupid? I feel like I'm missing something. I solved that. I got the math behind that. What about the intuition am I missing? This one was easy. This was like the min multiply. Strawberry. This was a radial circle, which you could use with the circle construction a squared b squared. Module checkerboard. This is like the simplest construction of it, but then like how do you expand the size of each of these squares? Like basically, how do you get the same thing, but you expand the size of each of these squares up? Angled rainbow was simple. Oh, modulo. Yeah, you turn it into a number line, which makes sense. 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. How do I get that same number line, but then alternating the other way? How would I do this? Well, I guess you tried this. So what I could try, because then this is the same solution as that, effectively, with the modulo. But then you have the trick of like being able to add the number to it and then multiplying it by it to get the 12 and the 14. It's also the same construction with the modulo. I wonder if I could do this, and then you could do... What am I thinking of? You could do this. You have really every value. Let's just see this. I just need to look at this. Value above 1. I need to somehow target the alternating spaces, but only for some of these, based on what value it is on the x and the y axis. In which case, maybe I just target specifically by saying, like, if the y is absolute 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. But it feels like there has to be a way to encode the 2, 3, 4 pattern on the z-axis to select it using just math of some kind. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4 abs would get you this. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4 abs on the x would get you this. When it's the same value of 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, it'd be empty. If it's different, then you would paint it. Oh. Just curious if this works. If abs, I don't know. Oh, let's do this. What's that in range thing again? We could just use this here. Range, in range, returns true if V is greater than A, or greater than or equal to A and less than or equal to B. In range. This seems silly, but I feel like I'm missing something. Anyways, greater than or equal to, and then the lower bound, upper bound? Yeah, A is lower bound, B is upper bound. Okay. Not equal to, then another. Here's what this would look like. Not really. What I'm trying to get to is that if it's the same, if it's what am I trying to say? What am I trying to say about the relationship between the x and the y-axis? I mean, and the x and the z-axis. What am I trying to say with this? I feel like I'm missing something very, very simple. Or is there a simple way for me to expand the modulo result that you would get like a larger tile size? If x is 2, 3, or 4, z is 2, 3, or 4, then you fill it in. No, then you don't fill it in here, you don't fill it in here. You don't fill this in when it's 2, 3, or 4 on both of them. So if it's 2, and it's 3, and it's 4, if it's in range of either of these... And... no. X, 2, 4... I mean, kinda. But also not really. oh, use the Pomodoro for 1 hour. You know, Pomodoro, I don't really get it because it's like you're supposed to like take a break after, right? But I never feel like the break system ever works within a Pomodoro thing. Like, it's like, I don't get the point of taking a break in Pomodoro, especially when you're going through something and let's say you're either in the zone or you're about to touch some intuition. Like, you feel your brain about to touch and open some doorway. Why would you want to take a break within the Pomodoro system? Bro made a flower. I know. It's yeah, like, I made a flower, but like, I'm trying to figure out how to like not make a flower. Like, there's clearly a relationship between the z-axis and the x-axis, right? Absolute value 234, absolute value 234 makes these squares. But unless it's the same thing, then it wouldn't. There's something that I'm missing. But it's always on the 2, the 3, and the 4. Always. What do you do again? I don't know. We'll just do like abs x equal abs x. Local abs z equal abs z. If let's just see this. If local abs z, then you do this. If abs x equal abs z. Am I stupid? You know what I mean? But like, I don't know why this wouldn't work. Oh, you know what? I'm in range wouldn't necessarily, because when you combine them together, right? Well, if abs x. No. Is it actually just the not keyword? Actually, I've never tried this construction. Oh, wait. Am I stupid? How do I encode it into the entire block? How do I encode that the fact that this entire block is in this space? Okay, how about this? We do like, I don't know. Sure, I don't know. Is X. Math, admittedly, is my worst possible subject. There's something about math that like confuses the heck out of me. I don't know why. But this is like, I feel like this is way easier than it is. It's way easier, and I should just. There's a way for me to figure this out. You have that line. 4 is X. You have that line. But then you need to almost like invert this to get the other line. Which you could. You could do. I mean, I guess you could just do that by just returning the number plus minus some transformation on the numbers. Nothing really stopping you from doing that. Well, this and then turn 2. And it's like kind of there, but not really. But then it's these in-betweens. And those in-betweens are when abs x is thing. The same value. Is that correct? Kind of. Not really. There we go. It's kind of like that, but I swear there's like a mathy way to express this. I swear there's a mathy way to express this. Because ultimately, every function that you make within a programming language is just a math function. I mean, up to a certain degree, there's like some that you can't, that aren't, whatever, I forget the actual term of it is, but it's like not solvable. But I swear there's a way to convert this logic into some series of like transformations on the number that would get you the same result. Like this is the thing that I would do if I just need a solution. But the thing that I'm trying to find is the intuition with the numbers to get to the same results. Similar to how I did the tiled room, where it's like, you know, you get the same tiling pattern, so you do modulo 2. You recognize that the colors are 14 and 12, so you just do a times 2, and so 0 times 2 is 0, 1 times 2 is 2. You then have 2 and 0, and then you just add 12 to get the actual final value. Like, I want to do something like that with this, without in range, without absolute, using just comparison. But maybe that's impossible. I wish there was a way for me to recognize when an idea is impossible. That's the thing that really gets me too, is like, how do you recognize when an idea is impossible? And what are the signs that it's impossible without taking it all the way to its logical conclusion? Because the thing about an impossible idea is, how do you even know that that's a logical conclusion, or if you're just wrong in some way? Like, I have no clue. I have no fucking idea. What crazy math am I missing to make this just work as like a pure math function of some kind? Because I guarantee you some mathematician could do this within Wolfram Alpha. Or what is it Wolfram Alpha, the like thing that you do for like graphing? Is it Wolfram? I forget the actual thing, but there's like a web graphic thing. And somebody could do this. Basically, somebody could do this. Desmos? No, I don't think it's Desmos. I've never heard of Desmos, but now that you told me, that does sound pretty cool. It's the one that everyone sort of like talks about when they say like, what's the point of AI? We already have this. But it is basically Desmos, but for any math problem. And you could even describe the math problem with natural language and it'll figure it out for you. It's actually a surprisingly complex tool. And it's been there for like 10 years or 15 years or 20 years. Like I had it since I was a child. Maybe it is Wolfram Alpha. Yeah. Maybe it is Wolfram Alpha. Because that's the only one that I recall. Like, basically, some mathematician could go into Wolfram Alpha and do this. You know what I mean? Like, what is that intuition that I'm missing? It wouldn't necessarily be any more efficient, but that's the fun part about this game, is that it's a side that I never have to deal with, but because your programming constructs are so sort of simplistic, it makes me want to lean towards the mathematics side of these solutions to try to figure it out. It may not even be as efficient in terms of like code complexity. Like, you know, it's just a reality that like some operations are way harder to do on a computer than in reality. Like, it's very easy for us to find the square root of 4. It's very hard for a computer to find the square root of 4, or whatever other number that you want to insert there, right? I wish I was a mathematician. I wish I was a mathematician. Fuck. I will never be a mathematician, I suppose. Now, how do you get this line? How did I even draw the lines in this? What? I think I just brute forced the lines because I had the same thought of like, man, I wish I knew the intuition for this. Because it feels, you know what it is? Let's say, like, let's say we say that somebody's good at math because they do it enough that they can learn the patterns, right? Then by that construction, couldn't you then say that math is all about, or that any pattern is constructible with pure math? Because if you can learn the pattern of something, or maybe the pattern is probably too generic, because then you could even say like a pattern of thought, but is it not true that you can model everything as a math function of some kind? Actually, is that true? Let me see. Wolfram Alpha. Can I ask it to do the same thing? I wonder if it could. No, not geometry. Earth sciences? No. Hobbies? Games and puzzles. Explore the feature of a video board or game. What? What? Never mind. Like, because that's like the cool part about these tools, that if you use it and you leverage it to help you learn, you might even be able to then, like, it's like, it's easy to know the answer once you know the answer, obviously, right? But because of that, these things could be like aids for you to learn. But maybe it'd be the wrong kind of aid for you to learn. Like maybe you don't want like a learning aid. You want to actually figure out and train your brain to build the intuition to make these like weird leaps of logic. Anyways, we just make this line now. We're gonna make this line. You know, we're just gonna deal with it. X equals 0. What's crazy is that the competition that's going on right now must be insane. Like these people have probably been practicing their whole life to make this work. And I can't imagine the kinds of weird thought processes that they have in order to be able to figure this stuff out. Because I can't figure this stuff out. Man, it's hard. Or in range. We'll just do this like this, just to move on to 4, then, and I don't know, what's the color? 10:30. Fuck. I mean that's kind of accurate, but I think I know what happened. It's yeah. It's because this needs to run here. There we go. It needs to go all the way through. So what am I missing from this again? Show comparison. Eh? Well, why are you wrong, buddy? Why are you wrong? Why are you wrong? Why did I make you wrong? Why did I do X module 7? What? Oh, stupid. I'll just do like, I don't know. Like, there has to be a better way, because look at this code size difference. Wow, my cycles are actually pretty good. But this code size difference has to be, like, there has to be something here in this top solution that they're doing completely differently. That's what makes me believe that there has to be like a mathematical shortcut or premise to make this work. Because whoever this top person is, they've discovered the mathematics behind this. For sure. I wonder if they're also number 1 in the cycles. But one thing that I did notice, right, is that... Sorry, let me eat my chocolate. One thing I have been noticing is that the game... Once you get into, I think it was Alice Creations 1, or maybe it was Intro Challenges 1 somewhere here. Your solutions at the top level, it's either going to optimize for code size or cycles. Like, it's sort of the same problem of anything. It's like, do you optimize for execution speed, or do you optimize for, like, simplicity of code, or of, like, some kind? And I would argue that performance is always the thing that you should aim for, so cycles is always the best thing to aim for, but it's cool that this game has a leaderboard for both. So as to point you to the idea that there's a simple way to express the solution that may not necessarily be the most efficient thing to do, but there's a more efficient thing that you can do that's also more complicated probably to understand. Because Prinrin, who has a very fast speed on their execution, isn't even on the first page of this list of code simplicity. Like, their code size is probably way larger, right? So it's harder to understand and harder to go through, but the performance is just slightly better, which is better overall in terms of, well, especially if you... I mean, that's sort of subjective at that point. It depends on your programming language and how it's sort of used, and is it like, you know... Like, every piece of code that you write has a cost to execution. But you know what I mean? Like, it's fascinating to sort of see this. Dichotomy between this dichotomate between code size and code performance. Why is there a stick? What is that? Why is there a stick in front of the... It was in front of, like, the thing. Why is the green screen messing up? Hello? Why is it changing time? I need to go back to the same time as it was before. As the day goes on, my computer monitor slowly corrupts because there's not enough sunlight. Or like, yeah, there's not enough sunlight. How do I change the weather? I changed the time of day. There we go. No, day. There we go. Oh my god. That was weird. I need to get my character to go somewhere else, sorry. Can you go back to bed? Uh-huh. Floor? Go on the floor? There we go, perfect. Go back to bed, go on the floor. You're breaking my flow pattern. Perfect. Just get more of the screen just so you can see it and be like, what the hell is going on? Perfect. This is the ultimate. This is the ultimate collab experience. You know what I mean? Like, you know how game developers will run collabs? Like Dragon's Dogma Online ran a Berserk collab? Here's the collab between Go and Replicube, which may be the worst thing that they have ever seen. People do use other layouts on other instruments, guitar, accordion, etc. Pretty much every other's instrument layout except piano has regular shapes. I don't even really mind piano being like that. It's a quirk relic of the time when it was invented. What actually frustrates you is that the layout became ubiquitous for MIDI keyboards. You know, that's an interesting point about MIDI keyboards. The layout makes even less sense for MIDI keyboards. Just have 4 octaves and you have to pretty much make a room for an elephant in your room, when a keyboard with an accordion layout can have 4 octaves and be the size of a QWERTY keyboard. You don't even think most people who make music in DAWs are proficient with piano to have the benefit of transferring skills. The only popular keyboard with symmetric shapes is the Launchpad, but it's also giant for no reason. There's a lot of assumptions there. I guess like there was that one guy that I showed you all who's cracked at piano but also really, really good and just makes MIDI and it makes music within a DAW as well. And so it's like, again, is it... But I see your point about like the size thing, but isn't that conflating like a whole different thing? You know what I mean? Like isn't your original premise that it's like a bad layout, but then it's like, is it a bad layout because of the space? But then it's like, does that necessarily make it a bad layout? Like, what does it? I guess like now, I guess what are you getting on about the fact that it's a bad layout? Because it seems like you're just harping on the fact that there's not enough space, right? And again, you're still going on that idea of like people do other use layouts on other instruments. What I'm getting at is sort of like what makes them any more correct than anything else. Like basically, what makes any of those other layouts any better or worse than anything else? It's bad in more ways than one, huh? I guess like the more you give your reasons, the more it sounds like a subjective, like you just don't have the room in your space to do it in, and you don't want to have that much room because it's like annoying to have that like 2 or 3 or 4 stack keyboard, which I know what you're talking about. It's like that multiple stack of it, and you need like a massive room to hold it in. But basically, it's like when you started this, it sounded like you were like saying it's objectively bad because you're objectively right. But isn't that just a preference thing in terms of what you enjoy? And then you throw in like a weird ad hominem about people who make music on DAWs with the instrument. When it's like, that feels like such a variable thing to say, that there's so much variation in the world that it's like, I don't even know if it's worth it to even bring that up. Like there's so much variation in that space that it's like, I don't even know if you can even measure against that. Like maybe, I feel like you could have proven your point with an even shorter paragraph if you just focused on exactly what it is that you're trying to get to. Oh, but you're just sort of wondering why it's like that when you know that it could be done in a way that has less space. And so you're thinking of it in terms of like, if we just learned that one other system of piano layout, you wouldn't need to do it. And it's just like you're sort of questioning why the inertia was like there. And it's stupid to you because it's like we already have something that already saves on that metric that you yourself care about. I can kind of see it. I guess like to me, I think I was thinking more about like, based on your initial example of like the whole chord construction thing, and I was trying to figure out exactly what you were trying to get at. But I think I kind of get your point now. Yeah. Of like, if you can do it another way and you can get the same constructions, but then you ultimately save on other metrics as well, then why wouldn't you bother doing it that way versus the current default way, which you can still sort of like construct anything that you want with enough practice, but you don't need to spend all of that effort to practice and learn it, because it's something else that already saves on the other metrics too, and would require the same or maybe even less practice to pick up, while also giving you the same capabilities. And so what you're saying is, like, regardless of skill issue, there's this thing that is more efficient on various metrics, while still being just as efficient as like an actual musical instrument. Yeah, I get it. I think, I mean, to be fair, yeah, I can see what you mean now. It took a while to get there, but I see what you mean. I think you could have made that point without being like, okay, people who are into DAWs can't use instruments, because it's like, I can point to one person who is that, but I keep forgetting his like name. But it's like, if you can't point to anyone, is that just because you haven't experienced enough people, or is that because I've experienced enough people? Like, not really. It's just we have different experiences, right? So it's like I feel like your point could have been made way sooner. But I see what you mean now. I see what you mean now. It's like it's like relative to the effort of like the actual initial thing. It's like, what's the point of it? It's not exactly what you meant. But then that's what I mean, is like, if that's not exactly what you meant, but then that's how you perceive it as, does it matter exactly what you meant? Or does it matter how it's perceived, right? Like, this isn't affecting me, but it's just like, it's a sentence that confuses me, because I'm like, how should I take this? Like, how does this prove your point, more or less, almost? Like, it's a sentence that makes me go, I don't know how this really relates to your point, and how it makes it more or less correct. Because the metrics alone is like enough for me to go, okay, this makes sense. Like, it's the same output layout. Like, it's the same musical output, but you just have a different layout that saves on like other metrics. Whereas when you throw in the like DAW skill thing, I'm like, I don't know how to relate this, and now I feel like, should I be thinking about something else too? Like, I'm not sure. Like, I'm kind of confused now. Hey, long time no chat. I made a few more objects I think are kind of cool. Give them a try. Don't forget about the computer convention next week. I'll see you there. I never go to a convention. Sometimes it's cool, but most of the time it's pretty awful. Puzzle cube, loosely based on the puzzle cube. Remember, you can drag. Sorry, I'm so gassy. Accidentally peek inside. It's empty inside. It's empty inside. Well, this is a bit easier. Oh no, it's just I don't know. Well, I don't know. No, I mean, let's just do this. Yeah. let's just get like an easy solution, and I'll figure it out from there. What do I listen to then? And I'm pretty sure that just kills the entire entryway. Yes, and I get like a... Oh, but I also need to open up over here. Yes. Wait. Okay. Well, it's all empty on the inside. And I just need the faces to be slightly different. Also, I'm gonna write this down right now. To do, I swear to God, there's a pure math way to solve this. Or some intuition that I'm missing that could simplify this down. Okay, also, now I think you have less hubris. Now I think you have less hubris because you backed it up. But at the same time, you're preaching to the choir in terms of like you... I want you to know that you're in a room full of idiots. So like whatever you say, I'll just be like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I don't know, man. I haven't studied the piano like you have. So be wary when I say you're probably right. I don't know. I mean, that is funny to think about, though. Because then it's like, oh shit, how do you really know? How do you really know? I don't know. This is a stupid variable name, but I don't really care. I've given up on like caring in some way. At some point, you stop caring and you just think to yourself like, I just wanna I just want to do. I just want to know, and I just want to do, and I just want to get to the point where I can get to make my own things. Because at some point, your brain gives up, and it's like, listen, you've done enough. You can just live your life now and do this stuff now. And is why then... What is this? So this is interesting. Is there a pure math function that could solve... Or like, is there some way to encode this and solve this in some way that you can just do it in like a single go? I'm gonna go crazy thinking about that. You try an 8, and then that gets that face, and you just do the same thing for every single face. And then this is because like there's no way the solutions, like the fastest solution is to do this over and over, right? But maybe it is that this is the best solution to go for, even if it is like a shit ton of branching. Because now look, it's like different on one side. It's like what? Eight, 7, 8, 7, 8, 7, 8, 7. 8719. Don't think about it too much. I wish I was good at math. Like, I wish I really understood the way that mathematicians looked at the world. There has to be something crazy about the way that people in math see this shit. What do they see? Same thing with like most fields. I guess like it's fascinating to think that now we need to be so specialized to be able to do things, because it feels like we're missing out on so many different experiences because we ourselves aren't specialized in it. And like because we're not specialized, we'll never be able to know what these experiences are. Like a mathematician probably sees this in some way that I'll never be able to understand, because it's going to take me another 10 years to get specialized like them. And by the time I get there, they probably thought of a different way to like see it, and I will never be able to get to see that. I wish I specialized in hard drugs. You know? I wish I specialized in hard fucking drugs. I wish I specialized in hard drugs. Because this... it would have been easier had I just not known how difficult life was. Like, if I could ignore the fact that... If I could have ignored life, I would have been happier in some way. I should have just gone to, like, heroin or something. Don't do drugs, kids. Don't do drugs. That's just a joke from an old man who feels tired of constantly trying and failing and trying and failing to be better than he currently is. But isn't that the point of life? Is to keep trying and to keep failing to be better? And if so, that sucks. But isn't that the point? Actually, maybe you could be in some way more successful doing hard drugs if you think about it. Because wasn't Steve Jobs like on hard drugs constantly, and he eventually got into Apple, and then he was really rich, and then he died because he didn't because the hard drugs told him that like eating veggie smoothies every day could save him from his cancer. You know, it's good for a while, I guess. Cute computer. Fuck your computer. I don't want to do this shit anymore. Look at this cute little computer. I like how the colors turn out on this. Break down the object into small parts and work on them individually. Yeah, but a mathematician could do this in a single function, man. And it's freaking me the fuck out. It's freaking me the fuck out. Let's just get the frame going. So, I don't know. We're max Z, Y. then I'm richer and... Was it something like this? No. No, I'm trolling. Why'd I do that? Max said why. No, is it min? Max? There's something about being able to make a frame of some kind. Sorry, we can't do Pomodoro. The Pomodoro, I don't know how to do the Pomodoro well. I feel like the Pomodoro technique is like a thing that people made up for YouTube videos. Like, you know those studying YouTube videos where you go on and you watch someone study and they say, okay, I'm gonna do like a Pomodoro. So that way every 15 minutes I take a break. They just play the ads for the next 3 minutes during their Pomodoro break. I think it's just a way for them to like make money. You made this for me. They posted an entire function. I'm just to copy paste this and see what happens. It's an asshole. You made Goatsy. Like, you just made Goatsy. That's amazing. Just made an asshole. I'm gonna go to the washroom. Stare at this. BRB. Okay, I'm back. I'm gonna leave this. I'm gonna get rid of the asshole now. It was very funny to see. Thank you for that. I appreciate you showing me the asshole. What was the thing about frames again? There was like one that you had to make a thing that had like a frame or something. The hourglass one was fun. I actually really liked this one. This one was a cool little thinking puzzle of like, okay, how do you actually think of the math and what is the math and what does the math feel like? Though I can't remember how I made this. What was the one with the frame? Was it the doggo? I think it was the doggo. I don't think it was the doggo. I think it tried to teach me about using Max to make a frame, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck this is. I don't know what the fuck this is. I remember thinking that. Okay, just think about the components and work on them separately. Okay, don't bring back the asshole. Sorry, the asshole just disappeared out of nowhere. Chat, how long did it take you to make that asshole? How long did it take you to make that asshole? Be honest. And why did you have it so prepared? Like, why was it such an easy preparation for you that you had it on hand? 2 minutes. You made that asshole in 2 minutes. That's impressive, actually. That's genuinely impressive that you made that asshole in exactly 2 minutes. Because I wouldn't even know how to begin making the asshole within 2 minutes. See, some of you say that you're not smart, but I swear some of you have like a better understanding of these like systems of numbers and how to play with them more than I ever could. Because I wouldn't even think to use the mix function. I just wouldn't even bother with the mix function to try to figure out how to make that color look like a certain way. But maybe that's the thing. Maybe I need to think about things like using mix and stuff. Otherwise, what's the point? You know what I mean? What's the point of all these functions if I never think about it? Yeah, well, okay. What was your intuition in making the asshole? You know mix from shaders. That's true. You do a lot of shaded stuff. That's what I mean. It's like, how did you even figure out that intuition? And how did you even figure out what to do? Because that's pretty impressive. So for me, it's like, I can't even begin to imagine what this is. From past challenges. Oh. So, how many times have you made that asshole? Be honest. How many times have you made like a shader for an asshole? Multiple times. For some past challenge. And then you subjected other people to seeing it. How many, Be truthful. Be truthful. And tell us what it is. Well... well... I'm actually curious. Have you had your own intuitions about this stuff? Like, once you do that, have you been able to understand it in some... Like, have you... have you been able to view other things with that same mindset in order to in order to break down a problem and sort of see that pattern there? And then have you been able to extrapolate even that thinking that led you to understanding mix? And have you been able to sort of like get to the underlying intuition about those numbers and then apply that in like a different way? Does that make sense? Like, I'm trying to explain this in a way that's like, have you been able to develop an intuition that goes beyond not specifically mix, but also anything? But you use the same mindset that you approach mix with that? Because this is a good opportunity to see like what the brain of my chat gets up to. Because for me, it's like, I don't know why, but I can't figure out any of this. I'm just like, I feel like I can only really think in like a sequential series of steps. It's very hard. Though at the same time, do I want to do that? Well, you know how some math functions look like. What if they have any common repetitive pattern that they can be used to create? Okay. And then... Is it really just a matter of practice? I was hoping that there was some cooler intuition of like, yeah, so like when I was thinking of this design and I was thinking of how this looked like, eventually I realized that it's like some cosmic order in these numbers and like this numerical pattern that I can use. And then, but specifically this like property of these numbers in relation to other patterns. Sorry, in relation to other numbers that I can then exploit in order to like reuse this. You know what I mean? Like, maybe there is no more complex answer. Maybe it is just practice to figure out what the hell things are. It's fascinating to think about. But then it makes me, you know, I don't want to practice. I don't want to do it. I don't want to practice. Maybe I do need to spend a day and just play around with these and get like a better intuition of how these things look like. You were watching a guy that makes shaders daily, and it really seemed like he was just typing random functions and numbers until it looked cool. That's what I feel about this guy on Twitch. On Twitter, who I hopefully he moved. But this guy makes insane shaders. I don't like using Twitter, so I'll just go to a Shadatory. I'll just go to a Shadatory page, because this guy, I don't even know how he makes these, man. Like, look at this. Here, look. Forget Go for a second. New window capture. Browser. Window title must match. Look at this shit. He makes these shaders, and I had that same thought of like, how the hell do you make these? Because, look at this. Like, mountains with this type of fog in this space. And you look at this code and you're like, what the fuck is this? Like, look at this shit. Or you go into, he had a really cool one with like a bunch of trees. Like, this page is a lot emptier than I think his Twitter would be. Or like the sandworm. This is the one where I'm like, what the fuck? How did you do this? And like the weird shape and the spikes of the sandworm. Like some of these are like fractal shapes, which are like, I can kind of get an idea of like how you could make a fractal shape. But then some of these are so complex that I'm like, how the hell did you do this? There was one in particular where it was like a tree. Most of those are very much EU, I think. Yeah, but like there was one, like that's like this is a bad example. I need to go to his Twitter, but then I have to like load Twitter, which is annoying. Fuck. Anyways, just go to his Twitter. He has way more complex examples, because it's the ones that are more complex where he makes like a tree within like a nice water scene, and I'm like, how the hell did you do that? Like that's the stuff that I go like, I don't even know how you even begin to understand how to make this stuff. Where it's like the stuff that has patterns that repeat, I get it. But stuff like that's like full scenery of its own kind, using just math, I'm like, how do you even begin to intuit this? You know what I mean? Or maybe my understanding of ray marching is also not correct. And so I'm not as impressed as I should be about those. But I know for sure his Twitter has like a ton more. You assume they just built it step by step. Probably. But like... how? Like, this is the thing, right? I think me asking this here is an interesting question. Because to me, I'm in the space where it's like, it's the same type of magic that I remember programming initially being. Because it's like, here we all have a baseline knowledge now, so it's no longer mysterious. We can sort of point from beginning to end. But I recently had to try to explain to my friends what I do for like a job. And they didn't get it. And I had to remember that, oh yes, like when you're not in it, it's hard to recall what that feeling is like of you not knowing. But I get this same feeling now from trying to figure out how to map the various ways that you could write something into some graphical output, right? I get that same feeling of when I first started programming and it all seemed like magic and sort of nonsensical to me with this and with shaders and stuff. And so it's like, it's interesting because when I ask here, you're all much better at shaders and like graphics than I am. And so it's fascinating to sort of see this like I'm seeing you and the stuff that's going on there from the perspective of how my friends see my basic work within programming, if that makes sense. With the same level of like, ooh and awe, and this is magic that I can't understand. It's actually a very fascinating perspective to have that you wouldn't really expect to happen upon again, which I do enjoy. I do enjoy having that perspective again because it means that there's something more to learn, and it's frustrating, but it's fun. Same thing with this thing that you created, even though it's made in the program, all the effects are still math functions. You wouldn't be able to quickly replicate it even though you made it. Because it's something that you had to do piece by piece, right? Like it's something that you had to... And then are you saying that because... So basically, what I'm trying to understand is it you're saying that because you had to build this thing up piece by piece? And that's sort of like what you're trying to get at? Is that like, even though you had made this and these are your math functions... It's because you built it piece by piece that you wouldn't be able to recreate it immediately because you wouldn't really know? I'm assuming that's what you mean. I'm trying to parse your sentence, man. I'm trying to parse everyone's sentences here. I don't know what's going on. My brain is in a million different places, okay? Also, this does look actually really cool. I really like the effect. By the way, they're available for work if you want to hire them. Hey, you want to show off your portfolio, actually? Is it weird to have your portfolio shown off live on stream? It's always funny to me that, like... Because this is the thing, right? Everybody here is a professional within their fields. And you've asked me questions that I've answered that you didn't know the answer to, but then I'm asking you questions that only you know the answer to that I don't know the answer to. And then we have another chatter who's an expert in their field, who I ask about linguistics. And I'm like, okay, well, what about this thing about linguistics? And they teach me things. And it's crazy to think that in this space, we can all come together and have a conversation like this. Like, it's weird to think that in streaming, you can just have these natural conversations, where in real life, it's really hard to get people to talk about this stuff, because no one really wants to. Like, I don't know why, but on live stream, all of you are very willing to talk to me about this stuff, specifically. But here, look, they made a cool skull, ASCII skull. Was this... Wait, is any of this things that I shouldn't show? The order of how you made it and what exact functions you used, even though you can kind of see what kind of possible function might have been used to use replicate, it's just trial and error with somewhat random steps. I wonder if there's ever a way to get to the point where you could look at, like, the framework of something. Like, you look at the framework of this shape on top, and you immediately go to the solution on the bottom, right? Like, I wonder if there's ever a way that you could train your mind to do that using some intuitive number of steps without just memorizing things. Because, yeah, there are always multiple solutions. That is true. That is true. That's a very good point. Like, you could just use something else to get to the same thing. We're all nerds. Very true. This is surprisingly... Okay, I think my chat is surprisingly... I don't want to say intelligent, because then that sounds like, you know, the same thing that like led to the Rick and Morty Szechuan sauce thing. You know what I mean? Like, it always surprises me whenever somebody comes in the chat and they watch me, and then it's like, wait, why are you here? Like, you're a neuroscientist. Somebody else makes VR chat worlds. Someone else is like a 3D modeler. Someone else does like all of you are highly skilled individuals at what you do, and you're here. But I guess this is no different from ye olden days. Like, if I actually went outside and talked to my neighbors, like, my neighbor could be an expert in whatever it is that they do, but we just shoot the shit over like beer, or we just talk about the fact that like, hey, it's getting cold outside, and like, hey, your trash bin's all broken. Did you see that like animal opening it? Because my trash bins, by the way, have all been eaten and opened by the raccoons around. Because raccoons, their hands, I forgot how strong they are. Every single trash bin has a hole in it now where they dug inside to get the food. So it's bad. But like, they could be an expert. Like, they might be the only doctor who could save you from like a spinal injury in all of Canada. And I'd have no clue. I'd just be talking to them. O-tag dent, yes, O-tag, dunk crayon, high five. Exactly, like there's something funny about that. But it's true though, because it's like in real life, you would just go outside and you would just talk to somebody, and they would be an expert in whatever it is that they do. And you know, that's just how life is. It's just weird that in Twitch chat it feels almost magnified to the umpteenth degree, because everyone, for some reason, in Twitch chat is so willing to talk about their work. Like, that's the surprising thing to me, is that everyone's just really willing to talk about their work here. We need another expert. Like we need more experts. We need... I'm gonna make... No, yeah, I was gonna make like a joke and trying to lead it into like sexperts.com, but like, yeah, we just need experts. I need more experts in my life that I can lean on to get answers to, and hopefully one day absorb their knowledge and their ability to think about things. Because there's something about the way that your brain mass moves that makes me go, ah, there's something there. There's something there. Imagine being in a medieval village back then, and you're like the farmer, and you're talking to the carpenter, right? Isn't that the same thing as what I'm talking about here? Where it's like the farmer is the expert in the farming, and then the carpenter is the expert in like making like cup chairs? It's all the same effect, right? Maybe I'm just too harsh on myself. Maybe it's just a reality that, you know, you can't be good at everything, and you have to be bad at some things. But then how am I gonna live with... But then how do I live with myself? Then how do I live with myself? It's like, no! I can't be good at everything! What's the point of life? O-tag dent. O-tag king. O-tag king. How am I gonna live with myself if I can't be an expert at everything? I guess it is true that at some point in life, you just have to be okay with the fact that, you know, not everything is gonna be within your reach. That, like, which is kind of a scary prospect, honestly, because it's like, oh, I don't know if I want that. Like, I would hope that everything would be within my reach, but maybe the truth is not everything can be. It's just not feasible. You just have to be okay with being the village idiot for a particular topic. But then this is the thing, right? It's like, what am I the village expert on? Am I not a village expert on anything? And then it's like, okay, well, this is the problem, right? It's like, all of us imagine in some way. Also, I just realized what your emote combo was. O-tag dent, hammer, O-tag king. The king is giving the dent to the peasants, or knighting the village idiot with a hammer. Like, there's a very good possibility that you could try your whole life and you will still end up being the village peasant or the village idiot. And at that point, it sort of makes you wonder, well, what's the point? Like, at that point, how do you even recover from something like that? How do you even feel like, okay, well, I've like, this that's still something out there for me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just gotta feel like, oh shit, like, is it over for me? And I feel like this for shader, for graphics. Like, I don't even want to touch on math. You know what I mean? I don't even want to touch on any other topic that I'm really bad at. Coming to terms with your own stupidity, that's hard, man. Like, basically what I'm trying to say is I'm in that sweet spot where I'm both too stupid to know everything, but too smart to be ignorant and happy. Like, I'm in that sweet spot where I'm too stupid, where I can't successfully do everything that I do, but I'm also too smart to where I recognize that I'm stupid. Whereas I wish there was a point in my life where I could just be the perfect amount of stupid, where I would only feel like... where I wouldn't even know the pain of being stupid. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Yeah, that's a good way of saying it. Yeah, I'm too stupid to be able to do better, but I'm too smart to be okay with it. And so it hurts me, it frustrates me. What the fuck is this? Anyways, time is up. I only had a number of hours for it today, like 5 hours to the stream, so I have to go. Before the light dies down within my area, I have to actually go and do things. And the thing that I'm going to do takes about 2 hours. So Replicube is very, very fun. But every time I play this game, even off stream, I have to wrestle with my mortality in some way. I have to wrestle with who I really am. Because everyone likes to imagine themselves as being a genius and whatever it is that they do. And then you come face to face with something like this, and it feels like your time of reckoning has come, because you realize intimately just how much further that you have to go to be anything at all, to be worth anything. Right now, I'm a worthless human being. No, I'm just kidding. It's actually a really fun game, and honestly, it's not that serious, but it is actually... it's a cool way to motivate yourself to learn these different concepts, to think about graphics in a very interesting way, and to think about how to break problems down into different, like, sections that you want to do them in, and how to, like, convert problems into different domain spaces. In particular with this game, how to convert a problem that you see visually into a math problem of some kind, and sort of learning how to use those tools, right? But again, I haven't even thought about how to internalize the shapes of some of these things, so there's still a lot of this game for me to go. And, you know, again, it's crazy that this game has a really cool forum that is really, really active, and that gets consistent updates. Like, there's always something new to sort of check out and do, and everyone's so cool at sharing their ideas and what they've learned. Like, it's amazing game. I have no clue how they made this, and I only wish I could make something maybe even half as good as them. Maybe by the time we get to Snow Job 100, we'll be just as good, right? Maybe. I almost spilled my wallet, sorry. It was also fun today to try out this, like, Go frame, but it's a little bit distracting to use this Go frame here, right? What's funny too is that the chat on the left side is frozen, when I could have made the chat, you know, not frozen, but I don't know how. But yeah. But this is it for Replicube. Really good game. It just... I wish I was stupid enough that I couldn't care about my own feelings. You know what I mean? Then I wouldn't have to deal with the feelings of, like, inferiority. Like, what is the... Is there, like, an IQ range for every single emotion? Like, can I feel lust and greed and, like, happiness, but then, like, you know, just after that, like, can I stay just below the inferiority threshold of, like, IQ level? Is that possible? Can I, like, train myself to get that? I don't know.